everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. To catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice, listed in the description below. I'm your host, GM, and overseer of Podcast of Five Rings, Obsidian, joined tonight by the wall that will not fall, Tetsuo.
Hi.
The Dark Fortune duelist, Meta.
Hello.
And the resident wildcard, Mao.
Yo.
You're never Mao, you're Meow.
Meow.
Right,
Okay.
meow.
That's what your name is, right? Meow?
Meow.
Listen,
Sure.
Meow.
Listen here. Now see here, all right? I don't need to take it.
I was trying to think of another cat pun, but it's just completely lost on me. Save me, Tets. You're always quick with the puns.
Nioh.
Wow.
All
I
right.
think we just
That's all
need to
I got.
pause
Yeah.
on all of these puns.
Mao like kicks on the
Mao
kicking out of the door. He's like, "Everybody down! Nobody get hurt. I won't shoot, but you need to stop these puns."
That literally went over my head.
My
Wow.
pun?
Like, for 5 seconds, yeah. I was like, yeah, there's a pun in there somewhere. There it was.
There it is, right there, officer. That pun.
It was almost punsy.
My brain is goo. It's over.
It's been a-
I had a long weekend, and
Yeah.
it feels like it's been freaking 7 days at work.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I got off for Memorial Day, and it was the best thing ever.
Yeah, by the time I got done with Monday, I was like, I am tired of this week. It's been too long. That was a long week.
Wasn't even at work, and I was just like, "It's too long already. It's just too
I
long."
came into work on Tuesday to no AC, and I was like, oh, well.
Oh my god.
That's how that's going to go, huh?
Are you guys having the heat
A
wave
great
as well?
start.
It hasn't even been restored yet, I don't think.
Not fully. It's working, but still needs Freon, I think. Or
Yeah,
something, I can't
they have
remember.
to like leave it running overnight, hoping
Yeah.
that it'll cycle through.
Yeah, it was bad. I had things I had to do in that building previous 2 days, but after that was done, I was able to work from home. But yeah, it was rough.
Well, you guys got heat, but all we've had is rain. It's just been raining
I wish we could get some rain.
non-stop.
Yeah, that'd be
And,
nice here too.
It's great. It's great for my garden. Like, don't get me wrong. The strawberries are doing fantastic. But I'd
Oh.
like to see the sun just for a minute, just to know that it still exists out there.
Oh, I can tell you it exists.
Yep.
Very much trying to kill us.
It's
Sun's
been
going
like
down south. He's not coming back up.
it's been 96 and humid here every day for like a week straight.
Good God.
It's finally getting back down in the 80s tomorrow, supposedly, but we'll see.
We just finally got some sun today, and I'm very happy to see that it still exists. Because without outside confirmation, I was getting worried.
Much to the chagrin of the vampires.
Damn, it's bleh.
So, other than odd weather, what's everyone been up to?
Honestly,
Oh.
I'm actually building up a new PC.
Oh, you know.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
With new game expansion coming out, looks like some games I'm looking for are dropping out. And honestly, the PC is about 6 years old. It's about time to update. I'm doing the same thing for the wifey. And
Where are
kinda
you
like sat
getting?
down.
Like
I'm
was?
getting. I'm getting pretty much new stuff. It's kind of like I would gather like it's in a more higher end range. The processor is going to be in 9th gen, so it should be within essentially came out like either late last year or the beginning of this year. I'm going to be getting an M.2 solid state because I've really wanted to play with one of my own, and I made one for my mom that used that type, but I haven't had a chance, so wanted to try that out. And the whole Kickstarter for this was that because I got for my I got as a present the RTX 2080 from NVIDIA,
Uh-huh.
Oh, nice.
and so
That's
I
a big
went.
card.
Yeah, it's a very nice card. It's a very new card, and I was like, okay, I'm really excited to utilize it. So I put it into my old machine.
It didn't work so well.
Did not work so well. It
Yeah.
it booted up the first time, and then it literally froze and crapped out on me right on the spot. And I was like, oh no, it's a bad card. But I'm like, that seems so weird because the card does work.
Mhm.
It's just that once I install the driver, this card just does not want to work on the OS. So did a lot of looking up, did a lot of research, and it turns out that obviously everybody's machine is different, but it is kind of known that sometimes if you have an old BIOS or an old motherboard, it
Yeah.
doesn't like to play nice with it. And my motherboard is from 2014, so
Mine's even older than that.
well, I shouldn't say mine is from 2014. I should say the last BIOS update that it
Update was from
detected in
2014?
2014. Yes,
Mm.
it is actually older than that. The release date, I believe, was in 2012 or 2013, from what I remember. And yeah, so I know this motherboard has actually transferred a couple of machines before, so it's actually transferred on the current machine it is in now. So it's probably around 7 years old instead of the 5 or 6. But it's about time
I think mine's from like 2010.
Good God, man.
Yeah, I mean, I still have really old graphics cards still. I need to upgrade. I just haven't set aside the money yet.
Yeah.
And with
that's,
PS5 coming,
yeah, they truly fully announced it. Oh man.
Yeah.
I bet we'll see
I
more
believe,
soon.
was it,
Very soon.
Yeah.
AMD said they're making
Yep.
was it the video card from scratch or whatever?
Mhm.
Yes. Yep. It's completely from scratch. They're going to be making it, and it's going to be apparently the bee's knees.
Yeah.
The processing power on it just looked really good. They were
Now,
showing
if only
Spider-Man, the comparison, like the load
Oh, yeah.
times and stuff, were
Those
literally
good
like
puddles.
instantaneous almost. So
Now, if only devs would just actually commit to 60 FPS instead of just cranking the graphics up.
Yeah, right. It boggles my mind that in this day and age, now it's still hard to get developers to do 60 FPS,
it's
especially for games where frame rate really does matter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that's not normal. Like I can get it if like your platformer maybe is not running at 60 frames, I get that. But when you're talking about like fighting games, or you're talking about more competitive games, or games that are very specific with their frame rate timings, not having 60 frames per second is just
Yeah,
really
I think
rough.
the superior graphics just sells better to the casual consumer, I suppose.
I would.
that's all.
absolutely agree.
People understand good graphics better than they do like
Yeah,
the processing language. So
it's a shame too because honestly, running at 60 frames is really nice. It's just so
it
much
is.
smoother. It really does. It really can bring your game to life. It's really odd. Like sometimes when you're so used to seeing games run at 30, and then you put in a game that's running at
it's jarring. That's
very jarring because then suddenly everything looks very smooth. Like animations are like really nice suddenly, and you don't notice it all the time. But man, it is hard to deny it.
Yep. Well, let's get on the topic, shall we?
Sure thing.
We almost turned that into the topic.
I was going to be the topic. I know, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, let's just kick meta what he was going to do. This is his topic. No,
This is my topic now.
It's his topic, the one I introduced. No, Tets has the first topic, so you go on, Tets. What do you got for us tonight?
All right. Well, just kind of piggybacking off of your question earlier about what we've been doing, I haven't been doing a whole hell of a lot. Because
You were saving it, weren't you? You didn't want
Baby.
to talk. You were being
what?
coy. Somebody was being coy.
I was waiting for my nice little transition, and you guys did not provide me.
Only give them the mouth and cut him off.
Yeah. No, but I was, since we've been watching the baby, it's kind of a lot of time with her, and I've been getting more of my Netflix watching in. And in addition to finally catching up on Star Trek The Next Generation, I started a new anime on Netflix that came out recently called Revisions. Revisions is released on, I think it was like the 28th of March, I think, or maybe that was when it ended in Japan, because it's a Netflix original, but it's one of those ones where like it's
Like
done in
Devilman.
Japan, and
Yeah, Netflix got the rights to it when.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So they wait for it to run in Japan all the way through, and then they can show it over here in its full.
Yes, the original run was January 10th through March 28th.
Okay, yeah. But it's directed by Goro Taniguchi, who did Code Geass.
Oh yeah.
And then the animation studio Shirogumi, I don't recognize anything.
Also did Scry.
Yeah, I don't either. Scryed.
Yeah. Oh, did Taniguchi
the
really
director? Yeah, directed.
Yeah, he's Sunrise,
storyboards
so.
and episode direction. Oh, and Gun X Sword, which I also quite like. But
yeah,
neat.
So I mean, Obs and I are definitely really big into Code Geass. I mean, I think everybody is, but so I kind of, when I found that out, had some high hopes for the series. It is a mecha genre, but not in the Code Geass kind of way. It has a much more Evangelion feel, because the setting is essentially Shibuya, Tokyo, in our day and age, suddenly gets transported to the year 2388 or something like that. So it's a little bit of the isekai.
Thank
style
God for anime, right? Am I right?
And so
what would you do without time traveling, dimension shifting high schoolers?
If it's not Japan being transported to the future, it's Japan being transported to the past.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, they've got it all. It's always Japan.
Or a fantasy world.
I wonder why that is.
I can't. We'll never know, Mal. It's a mystery.
Anime was indeed a mistake. You were right. I can't remember his name. Who was it? My Neighbor Totoro guy. Miyazaki, thank you. Who famously said anime was a mistake. Or at least the meme tells me.
Miyazaki was like, I can't believe we unleashed this horror upon the world.
Anyway, so all of Shibuya gets like transported to the well, maybe not all of Shibuya. It's like a circle of it. That's so many. I don't remember the distance they say in the first episode, because it doesn't fully matter, except for the fact that the high school that the students are a part of gets like severed in half, and then like half of the school goes into the future and half the school doesn't. And the people in the future are like, they're kind of like, what the hell's going on? And then this giant monster attacks, and they have to fend it off, and it doesn't go very well because, giant monsters. And
As giant monsters are wont to, they tend to attack at the most inopportune moment.
And then they run into...
really any moment that a giant monster attacks just becomes the most inopportune moment.
Yeah.
Look, Mao, get your logic out of here.
All right, we've developed the anti-monster laser. Now the monster can show up.
Finally.
Nope, he's never coming. He's like that Pokemon in Discord chat. Only shows up at the worst time.
Yep. And then they run into the humans of the year 2388, and come to find out that there was this massive virus. It wiped out most of humanity. There's a very few trying to survive, and there's these giant monsters that are essentially harvesting humans and eating humans. And oh no, now we have to survive in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. But this group happens to have these like battle suit type style mechs, so they're like 12, 15 foot tall type. You get inside the center, as opposed to like Gundam or Mech Warrior or something. It ends up being that only the main 5 characters can actually pilot them, because they're programmed to their DNA, and then time travel shenanigans, is involved as to why that is. So all of that sounds really good. All of that's and it was very enjoyable. The biggest negative to the series, because of that whole time travel shenanigans, the main character, and this is part of why I say it has a corollary with Evangelion. Once again, I despise the main character. It's not Shinji getting the damn robot, though. It's Daisuke shut the fuck up, because he believes he is the savior of humanity, because he was told by this woman that one day he's going to save the world. And so he's like lived his whole life in high school being this just douchebag. Nobody likes him because he's like trying to save everybody from everything.
He's a tryhard.
Yeah, and he has like this hero complex, and like nobody wants to be around him, and everybody kind of hates him. And come to find out that the chick that told him that he was going to be able to, or he was going to save the world, is that woman that they ran into that give them the mech. And so that's when the time travel starts. So he's like, oh, clearly this is my destiny, da-da-da. And he's like the worst pilot. He's not the leader of the team. He's just like, he's one of those, you just want to punch him in the face because he's a little shit and doesn't, like, he's too full of himself.
Sounds already punchable, and I haven't even met this man.
Exactly.
Does that dynamic stay through? Like you've watched the whole series now, correct?
Yeah, well, it was one season, and I don't know if they've been approved for the season, but it definitely ended on a cliffhanger. So.
I believe the manga is still ongoing.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. And I'm guessing, do we ever see progression from him, or is he kind of just always stuck on that spot through the whole season?
We do see some progression from him. It's not. It feels more organic because it's not a sudden episode happens and now I'm redeemed. Like he's still struggling with it, but it's a good 6-7 episodes before he even has the event that makes him start to question. Like, you have to get through a good first half of the series, the season, with him being this way before it starts doing that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I'm gonna say it's painful to watch, not in the fact that it was done badly, but because you're just like, you are such an idiot. Like, I do not like you. And I don't think you're really supposed to, because once the redemption kind of starts to happen, I don't know, like as I say, it feels more organic than the way that type of storytelling can, sometimes come out to be.
Where they just turn on a dime, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And it comes out nowhere.
I always hated that kind of like character development when they just suddenly swivel around and like just do 180 on the spot. There's no build up. There's no like self revelation.
Like every villain in a shonen ever.
Yeah,
I'm a good guy now.
I'm a good guy now. I'm like, they always.
Let me give you that talk no jutsu.
Yeah. I really do hate that. It's like the character really had no value to begin with. Like, they didn't truly believe in what they believed. They weren't willing to like go
stick to their guns. That's
why
it's like really awesome in like shonen-y, tropey Japanese stuff when kind of like they just go out as a bad guy.
Yeah,
like,
there's like no redemption arc. Yeah, there's no redemption to that. I'm like, finally, he stuck to his guns. He believed it. He was beaten, but he believed it. Man.
That's what I love so much. I don't want to spoil it. Me and Mal talked about this in the Kingdom Hearts 3 spoiler cast. One character awesomely does not as he died.
Like the only villain not to do a face turn or whatever.
Yeah, there's like two basically, but yeah. I was like,
I mean, it's Kingdom Hearts,
so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is basically like probably the most shonen video game series. Yeah. So.
It's good to hear that the character in revisions then doesn't. It takes some time. It takes some time to not only for him to recognize it, but then to eventually start to see like maybe the little lie that he's believed this whole time is not as real or true as you really thought it to be. Which is good storytelling. It's good storytelling 101.
And by the end of the first season, he has not overcome it. Like there's still stuff that he says like in the final battle where you're just like, dude, I thought you learned. But again, that makes it feel more real as opposed to just like, oh, I guess we now have our lesson and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of becomes like a weight in that final battle. It has that is very much where the final battle is kind of seated around. So it has a more narrative weight to it because he's still struggling with it.
As long as they're chipping away, I think like obviously with the next season coming out and there's the manga going out, I have no idea what it's going to be, but I'm hoping then just based off of what I'm hearing that like when the next season comes out and as the manga's continued, I don't know. That they continue to chip away with that character because it honestly that's like the character starting off is this like very gung-ho like very prideful kind of character and then they're like literally the worst and they are quite literally the worst. Like they believe they're good but they're actually bad, and then seeing that character not only grow but also start to become better as an individual is probably one of the most satisfying things you can see for a character because to a point, you really do want them to become a better individual, both in capability and personality. So
Yeah.
I'm really
Yep.
hoping that's the case for the future seasons with this character.
So, and part of and this is going to be a little bit of a meta statement on that
Oh.
character. Part of what
Why are we
no,
talking
not
about me?
not not
Why are we
meta.
talking about
The
me? I don't
dual.
understand.
No.
What do I have to do with this?
From an outside, beyond the fourth wall standpoint,
Oh, I see. Okay, we're not talking about me.
You got to be really specific.
Very specific.
the voice actor for this guy. Some of the characters he's done before include
Is it Sakahiro or Takahiro Sakura?
No, it's Bryce Papenbrook. He did.
He was he's
Kirito in Sword Art Online.
Isekai man.
Yeah,
He's much to my chagrin Zidane from Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, he's Eren Yeager in Attack on Titan.
Really?
He's Yoshindo from My Hero Academia. So like he has like all of these random things, and so sometimes my brain, like if I'm just listening, it would jump to that character. He's Meliodas in Seven Deadly Sins. He's Chat Noir and the Miraculous Ladybug.
He's got a lot. He's got a pretty good list to his name.
Yeah, he does. It's just it was like one of those things where like my brain wanted to go to Eren, and then it wanted to go to Kirito, which those two characters in and of themselves do not mesh well. And anyway,
We'll go down that road.
From the famous Kingdom Hearts game.
So there's like times where it's like I really want to hate you because you're reminding me of Kirito, and right in this very moment, like I'll admit some of my hate for the character does come a little bit because the voice actor makes me think of other characters. But that's a personal thing. But I mean, it was really enjoyable. It is on the campy side of things. It's not exactly the twists aren't exactly surprising twists. You kind of can see them.
You're not going to come out of it with depression like Evangelion.
I don't think so. I mean, again, it's still going. But
good job, congratulations.
It has more positivity. Like it's closer toward, from what I understand, the rebooting of Evangelion than it is from the originals. In that regard,
I have not watched them.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really enjoyable, and what's kind of interesting is like the police of Shibuya actually take charge of things, and there's times where like you have these high school kids that are piloting mechs, and the police are like, no, we're the police, you need to go back home and stop dealing with this shit, you're a high school, like it's not the adults that can't do anything, like the adults are
amazing.
That's cool to see because that never happens.
It never does.
Yeah, like the legit the adults are just like no, like we know what, we've trained not necessarily for this, but we've trained in emergency situations. We have infrastructure in place. You're just 5 high schooler kids. The only reason why they continue to let them pilot the mechs is because the mechs only can start up with their genetic DNA, because again, time travel, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff. Beyond that, they're legitimate, a legitimate force. So that was kind of refreshing to see. I mean, obviously for story reasons, they're not going to solve the major plot points because story.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see them not just folding left and right either.
Yeah, it is like, that's actually really refreshing. I don't even know how to put that into words. It's like really refreshing just to hear these guys are like, nah, dude, like, okay, fine, you got the mech, but everything else, your kids, go home.
Yep. Like the main character's like I'm clearly the leader of the team. I brought everybody together. I piloted first, blah blah blah. And the head of the police is like, no. This guy's the leader of the team. You need to shut up. I don't like you. This guy knows what he's doing. like they just like shuts down the character, and it's just like okay. So, but it was really enjoyable. As I say, like it doesn't write the book on anything. It's not totally surprising in its twists, but it's satisfying in the twists that it does and the way it handles them.
Is the cliffhanger better than the one at the end of Code Geass Season 1?
I don't actually remember what the cliffhanger was, because
The answer is no. That was such a great cliffhanger, but
I watched every single time I've watched Code Geass. I just went immediately season 1 to season 2. Like, so there, it never really it was in my head as a cliffhanger.
It's the gun stare down where he has where they're both arguing over Nunnally.
Yeah. No, it's not as good as that.
It ends in gunshot fade to black.
No,
your boy.
It ends up being mild spoilers, I guess. It ends up leaving off on more cities being taken to the future. So
are they all in Japan?
I don't know because they don't really show. But I wouldn't be surprised. Although I think the scene was outside of London, so maybe not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to
Japan
go back.
was just the beta test.
Yeah.
I don't know why that got me so much. But just the way you said that, it's is it all from Japan? You're not even surprised.
It's wait, why does Godzilla only attack Japan?
It's really weird that Godzilla's only show up in Japan. Am I the only one who thinks
the movie was made in America?
They want that Sakura dye.
Godzilla just really likes Japan. He just likes the seafood.
I'm gonna check it out because I didn't know this was a thing, and I like I like Goro Taniguchi stuff based on all the things we listed earlier. So I just literally didn't know about it.
Yeah, my anime list has it ranked at a 6.41. If that matters to anybody. And it kind of does paint a picture. I mean, I don't entirely disagree with that score. I personally rate it higher, but then again, I if it has mechs in it.
I like cheesy mech stuff.
So. At least you're honest about your bias.
Yeah, I fully recognize that I'm easy to win over.
If it's got mechs or kaiju, suddenly the score goes up by 2 for me.
It's just a little robot.
I like post-apocalyptic. I don't mind the isekais. It was a bit of a Tetsuo anime. I will admit. I will lay that out there.
It was Tet score. We have a term for that.
I'm gonna check it out just because I like it when they do take choices that kind of throw away a very common trope or address something that's not normally thrown over, and if it's done well, I always think those are kind of interesting. I like things that kind of break the mold, so to speak, of what what's currently going on. So anytime something like that in a show happens, that does pique my curiosity.
So that means if Meta had an L5R card, his keyword would be mold breaker.
Yeah, that's right. Specifically
Check.
Breaks mold.
Uh-huh.
I'll file that away. Yeah, not in the metaphoric sense, in the literal sense.
Yeah, in the literal sense, he actually breaks mold.
Black, white, whatever the fungi is.
Whatever that fungi is, he's going to take it over his knee and break it in half.
Speaking of breaking mold, let's talk about Mao's topic.
Oh, you used the exact transition I was going to.
Yeah, you and me, buddy. We're on the same wavelength.
There you go.
Oh yeah. So
what is this mold breaker?
Magic's supplemental set of the year, Modern Horizons, definitely breaks a lot of the molds.
How so?
It must. We're talking about a modern set on the podcast.
Yes. Well, for one, it's the first set to ever bypass standard, but still hit modern as far as formats go. Because typically normal sets come out and they're immediately standard ready. And then the supplemental, which standard is like the past 2 years of Magic sets. And the supplemental ones typically don't get any of that, but they can go into what's called eternal formats, which are sets that use just every card, basically. Modern usually only gets the sets that have gone through standard, but it goes back to I believe 8th edition, which is like at this point probably, what was that, 12-ish years maybe?
Yeah, because we're almost on 20.
Well, they don't line up exactly with the year. The 8th edition doesn't.
What?
What? Yeah, they started going to yearly in 2010, which so they had 10th edition, and then Magic. Yeah, they had 10th edition and then Magic 2010 after that when they started doing yearly core sets. But anyway, so yes, this set, Modern Horizons, it has modern legal cards. There are no modern legal reprints except for 5 lands, which everyone thought they were going to be basic lands, but they ended up being snow lands. which is something that people have been wanting for a long time because they can get expensive, especially the foils. I think a foil snow-covered island, you can buy it for $20. And these are going to be full art.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Was that what was that set, like Rhyme Frost or something?
Ice Age, the Ice Age block, which was Ice Age and something else, and then later they also came back in Cold Snap, which was at the time like a secret lost third set for the Ice Age block.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I actually used to have cards from that block.
Yes,
so.
Ice Age was just fading out of standard, I think, when we started, or something. But yeah, it was like a set or two before we started. But yeah, so the cards. There are a lot of cards that reference other cards from Magic's history. There are some reprints that were not modern legal but now are. The design for this set is ridiculous. It's basically like a new Time Spiral set, which was the block me and Tet started in, which was already like a look back on Magic's past. It has, I think, over 40 mechanics. Individual mechanics. Yeah.
Yes. How many?
Like over 40, I think, individual mechanics or something. Like you got Flashback, Cascade. Let's see. Scrolling through. Cycling, Vanishing, Kicker, Ninjutsu, because ninjas are back.
Wow.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Convoke. Yeah, there's a lot. Evoke. So many. Yeah. There's Snow as a mechanic is back, Snow Permanence. Yeah,
That's,
so
a lot.
Yeah, which people have been asking for a new Time Spiral forever. In franchise players at least, these supplemental sets are meant more for enfranchised players, not as a way to get new players. Because Time Spiral, even like I guess a lot of newer players had trouble with Time Spiral because it had so many different mechanics and a lot of references to Magic's past. Though I started then and loved it, but I guess the market research shows that was not the case for most people. And then so the different and the drafting of the set looks really cool. As I said, ninjas are back and they're the blue-black draft pair. So we're getting quite a few ninjas. I think there was 14 ninjas before this set, and I think there's at least like
Ninja Travel.
I've seen like 6 at least, if not more. Like
sounds like you can make a ninja deck.
Yeah. Definitely will help.
A lot of people have been saying it's like a very like commandery set.
Oh yeah. Well, most of these supplemental sets end up with a lot of commander cards. Just because Commander loves its weirder like cards that end up costing more mana than what you might be able to play in a typical like an
Legacy
actual tournament format or whatever. One of the ninjas, a rare ninja, is a zombie ninja, which I would have thought maybe someone was really into Sekiro. If Sekiro had come out a little before, or,
a little bit early,
a little earlier than March, but
Mana War got a reprint.
Yep, Mana War, surprisingly. Yeah, sometimes there were cards that showed up and people were like, this wasn't modern legal.
I need to see these zombie ninja. Like
it's in chat.
Oh my.
Yeah, Fallen Shinobi.
Yeah, zombie ninja. Oh, that's so cool.
It even has the prosthetic arm thing.
It does. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's great.
One interesting thing about all these ninjas, it looks like they're kind of in a Western, or no, what is it? Yeah, Western theme, like the architecture and stuff. Like they're definitely not on Kamigawa, which was the Japanese plane. I'm very interested to see where these ninja are from, if we ever actually get to go there for a standard set which is when you get all the story and stuff.
I really like this ninjutsu effect. I was just reading it over.
There's not the fallen one.
No, there's the ninjutsu effect in general. Like,
Oh,
when
yeah,
you
yeah.
just pay the
It's
cost,
cool.
and you can return an unblocked
Yep,
attacker.
it's
and
like
then just
sha it was a
slap
ninja.
Get
Oh,
some
the ninja
value.
all
from-
along.
Yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
rare one's really good.
Yeah. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Also, so a lot of the draft archetypes are tribes. There's goblins in red and black, and there are slivers, which is one of Magic's most popular
Yeah.
tribe, in red and white.
Giant worm.
So they also decided to bring back changelings, which count as every creature type. So that helps all of those. Like
Oh my
whichever
gosh.
tribe you're drafting counts as a changeling will help. So they printed a legendary bear, which cares about bears. Although you probably won't be
He's a
able to
bear.
quite make it go off in limited, but it's definitely something Commander players are happy about.
Yeah. He's a bear.
Yeah,
He's a 2-mana 2/2.
Yep. Well,
But he has upside, lots of it.
Eula, queen among bears.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. If a bear comes onto the battlefield, it gets 2+1/+1 counters on a target bear, or target bear you control fights target creature you don't control. So you either get a bear's worth of power, because in Magic bears are 2/2s for 2 originally, or you can have your bear punch something.
Well, they are pretty strong, last I heard.
Yeah. There are a lot of cards that ended up being like color shifted versions of other cards. Like there's a popular red card, Siege Gang Commander, which is a
standard legal card right now, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. It was in the last core set, which is it's a red card for 3 red. You get a 2/2 that creates 3 goblins when it comes on the field, and you can pay mana to sacrifice a goblin and do 2 damage. Well, they made Slaying Gang Lieutenant, which is a black goblin, which the picture has another goblin in a giant slingshot.
That's amazing.
That is awesome.
Yes, and it's you sacrifice a goblin,
the
target
drain.
player loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life.
Goblin aristocrats.
This is
Yup.
amazing.
I like it's a flavor text on the Slingling Lieutenant.
I love that. Yeah,
The first rock, Zag was easy to make an impact.
that's amazing.
There's a really old card called Master Decoy, which is the picture is a dude in a crazy get up on a unicorn zebra. So they made a card called Zalfirin Decoy, which has a very similar effect that not quite as strong. For the original could just tap to tap any creature. This one can only you can tap to target creature, but only if you've had another creature enter. But it is a dude in a crazy get up with a unicorn zebra, just in updated art.
It's amazing.
Yeah. There's
I'm not gonna lie, I do really like his flavor text though on the original card as opposed to the new one.
Yeah.
Because the new one is never let them take your eyes off of you. But the old one was a skilled decoy can throw your enemies off your trail. A master decoy can survive to do it again.
Yeah. There's just so many references, but to old cards all over the place. And then there are also just weirdly designed cards. They definitely were having fun designing this set. Like Throes of Chaos is a card that in and of itself does nothing. It is 3 and a red and it has 2 effects: Cascade and Retrace. So Cascade is whenever you cast this card, you also get a free card that costs it cheaper. You basically go through the top of your deck until you hit a cheaper card, and you get to cast that for free. Retrace lets you buy back the card with Retrace on it for by discarding a land.
Wow.
So the card itself does nothing. You cast it, and then you get to see what free card you got from your deck. It's just so silly. And then there's also a creature, Hograk Arisen Necropolis, which looks like it's straight out of like a Dark Souls game or something. That you cannot spend mana to cast on it, or cannot spend mana to cast the spell. But
Good
it's
God.
5 and then 2 green-black hybrid. But it has Convoke and Delve, which are 2 different mechanics that let you
Oh,
pay
baby.
for it without using mana. Convoke, you can tap your creatures like they were lands, basically. And then Delve lets you use your graveyard.
Yeah,
to
the
fuel
Sky
cost
seems
of the
seems
spell.
really good.
Yeah.
Good God.
And it's an 8/8 with trample and maybe cast from your graveyard. It's
Oh my-
so silly.
So what, dude? First off, the art is amazing
Yeah.
on this. I wanted to say that
It's
right now.
It's an animated Necropolis.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
Yeah.
He's an 8/8 too. He's got trample. Jeebus.
Yeah. There's people were trying to decide if it actually does go into a modern deck. There's one called, there's an archetype called Delve, which there are, I think, 2 Delve cards in this set. It is probably one of the most broken mechanics of all time because you can buy
really
back.
strong.
You can buy back, Dredge is the mechanic, and you can buy back the Dredge card by sending whatever the Dredge number. So if it's Dredge 3, you send the top 3 cards of your library into the graveyard, and you get that card back. And Dredge, you just send as in one turn. You could probably get double digits worth of cards into your library or your graveyard, no problem. And there are free creatures that come into play when they hit the graveyard from your library. So yeah, it does a lot of shenanigans basically without any mana. It's a very silly card or mechanic that they said they will never bring back in a standard set, but this is not a standard set, so they put it on some cards. Just like Storm, there are a few Storm cards, which is Storm is the most broken mechanic, I believe, because they have a.
How will it beat the Nioh form combo deck now?
I don't know. Oh yeah, that one's silly, but yeah, there's a rating a scale called the Storm Scale, which is on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely a mechanic is to make it into a standard set, and Storm is the 10, as in it will never show up. But yeah, Delve, I believe, is also a 10, maybe a 9. But yeah, there's just references through Magic's past. There's just weird cards. There's the first Sliver is a card, a legendary that I'm sure will inspire people to make a lot of Sliver decks for Commander.
He's the 5 color, right?
Yeah, it's 5 colors. It's a 7/7. Every sliver, it has Cascade, and all your slivers have Cascade, which just means you get more free spells as you cast them. Probably you can get Sliver into Sliver into Sliver because they will all chain into cheaper slivers. Oh yeah, Red Green.
Yeah, he's a really cool commander card.
Yeah. Red Green's archetype cares about the lands in your graveyard, which is why I believe they've printed red Dredge cards. But I believe it has enough good cards in the set that people are actually think there will be a new modern deck, which is the most that's the most I've seen people definitely seem like has the most potential with this set, because the downsides of the set, first and foremost, they said they up front they're like, this set is designed for modern. That was a lot of what seemed to be the most important part of the set. Straight into modern, we'll have modern relevant reprints and new cards, but I don't think it quite holds up to that promise. The power level is just not quite there for what's already in modern. And then also they're pricing it at a premium set, which is double the normal cost. And I wouldn't be surprised if just all their supplemental sets are that from now on, which is kind of sad because
it's already inexpensive.
There's no real reason to. Especially this one is going to be print to demand and not a limited print run, which is just limited scarcity or false scarcity or whatever.
Artificial.
Yeah, artificial scarcity is kind of on a product they can just print more of, but
I never liked it when any
crappy.
company does that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's always feels a little crappy. Yeah,
but this one won't have that, but it still has the cost of those premium sets, basically. Unfortunately, so I'll probably only get to draft it once in person, and then it will be on Magic Online, and I'll probably get to do it a few times on that because I believe I have saved up like premium or whatever that the current tickets are. Its currency is called, but not Arena, because Arena is only standard cards. As awesome as that client is compared to Magic Online.
I wish they would like find a way to do legacy stuff on there. But I think they won't, just because they kind of want MGO to be, or MTGO to be that kind of way you play legacy online.
Yeah, and then they've been completing cycles that weren't completed for a long time. Like they've added, so there are these swords of Sword of Feast and Famine, which are equipment that have protection from Feast and Famine. I think is green and black. Can't quite remember, but there are only 5, I believe. And then this set added 2 more: Sword of Truth and Justice and Sword of Sinew and Steel, which is the white, blue, and black, red swords. So there's only 3 left to go. So people were happy about that. We got the final. There are these mana rocks called talismans that we only ever had the ally colors, which are the colors next to each other on the mana. Whatever the mana circle on the back of the card or whatever. Now we have the enemy ones, which will be commander staples. It's probably the coolest set I've seen in a long time. I just wish it was cheaper, really, for me. It's a lot, especially to draft in person, which is the coolest. But will probably be maybe, I don't know, anywhere between $30 and $50 probably for one draft.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Right.
Expensive.
But the cards are really cool.
Yeah, much more too expensive for the casual fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they finally printed Urza and Yawgmoth in card form, which are
I saw that.
2 most powerful characters in Magic's past. Which basically before Modern was all the cards that exist before Modern, the story revolved around Urza and Yawgmoth, and they finally got cards because they were never printed on the card form. Probably because of their power level, because they were just basically gods, not magic gods, but omnipotent gods. And they printed the weakest versions of them, the earliest in their timeline, before they became gods. So it was just kind of funny. But it's going to be out, I believe, next week at time of recording.
Pre-release tomorrow or Saturday.
Probably tomorrow.
I think it is. Give me something to watch at work.
It comes out.
Sweet.
June 14th. So it is. Usually the supplemental sets are printed or released the week or so after the pre-release, but this one is 2 full weeks. So yeah, June 14th is the release date. But yeah.
What's your favorite
That's
card
what I'm looking
set
for
now?
Oh, that's a toughie.
Clearly the first sliver. It's just, clearly. That's how it must be it.
I think it's I really like the Planeswalker, Wrenn and 6. It's a 2-mana Planeswalker, a red and a green, but all of its abilities revolve around, I guess its plus and ultimate abilities revolve around lands. You can return +1 to return up to 1 target land from your graveyard to your hand, and then its ultimate gives all your instants and sorceries retrace, which lets you buy them back for pitching a land.
Cool.
It's just really neat. I love lands in the graveyard type effects. I mostly like any graveyard effects in Magic. Anything that deals with the graveyard, I'm pretty into.
Huh.
I kind of like the level up card.
Oh yeah, that was no one expected to see level up again either. My roommate thought it was a planeswalker at first because it's like it has 3 tiers like a planeswalker. It's like, was there a snake planeswalker? But yeah, it's a 1 mana. Was it 2/1? But if you can basically level it up where you spend mana to put counters on it, and as you put more counters on it, it gets stronger as it levels up.
Yeah, it becomes a 4/4 protection from instants, and then a 6/6 with protection from everything.
Yeah, protection from everything. It's just a ridiculous thing.
I just like level up mechanics, so.
Yeah, it was cool. That was from the original Zendikar block.
Yeah.
Because it was the D&D plane, so it got level up.
There you go. Sounds really cool.
All right, let's get on to your topic, Meta.
Well, I also have something new, quote unquote. Not truly new, but it is new. It's not new. Yeah.
It's not new, Coke.
Is it? It's Schrodinger's new. Is what it is. So you just don't know if it's really new or not. No. So Nioh 2, the announced sequel last E3, I think, to Nioh.
Yes,
Correct.
I believe so.
Yeah, it was last E3 and kind of just remained quiet since. Just came out recently with a pretty sweet alpha. But who got the alpha was completely random. And I mean literally random. They quite literally just took names out of a hat and
then did not tell people until like it was all done and decided.
Yeah. People had no idea this was going on. It just suddenly happened. They just got random invites out. So if you were a lucky person and you got one and you didn't use it, you're dead to me. But yeah, so it came out and people got obviously a chance to get to try it out. If you want to go check out a streamer who does it, and I'd recommend it, Maximilian dude did get the code.
Oh, he got in.
Yeah, he somebody actually gave him the code. They said like,
oh, wow.
Here's the code, and then please just stream it. And so he did. He streamed the Nioh 2 alpha. We got to see a lot of it. And
was it just like one mission or?
Yeah, it was the same thing like the last time they did the demos. It was just one mission, like bare minimum, like setup, and you just start randomly into the mission. There's no story to it or anything. You just here's the mission, run around. And I gotta say, I got some mixed feelings on it right off the bat. Just some very mixed feelings on it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Are they doing a Dark Souls 2?
I don't know if it's a Dark Souls 2 because I really wasn't paying attention to Dark Souls or Dark Souls 2, and even Dark Souls 3 I barely paid any attention to. I'd probably say I've looked more at Bloodborne than anything else. But I can say the game seems to have both taken steps forward and at the same time left the other foot like about 10 feet back. But it's still somehow connected. The game pops up, and the first thing you're going to notice right off the bat, a lot of assets from the original Nioh are reused. The graphics and the design, the whole layout, it looks like Nioh. Like it doesn't even, and it's one thing because the game came out in like 2016 or 2017 is when Nioh originally came out. It's not that old of a game, so it's understandable the graphics probably aren't going to jump up a lot. But I mean, it doesn't even look like it was really touched up. It looks like it's literally running the same textures and graphics and lighting systems. It doesn't look like they've touched anything in that regard. And I gotta say, that's a little bit disheartening just to see right off the bat. But you know, you think like, well, that's just the graphics, meat and potatoes. What about those? And I'm gonna say the combat system is quite literally ripped from the first game.
I mean, I don't know how much they needed to change on that.
I don't know how much they needed to either, but it's almost I want to say,
I mean, like Dark Souls has like a lot of the same combat throughout the 3 of them. Like they generally added like one thing to each one.
I think the problem is though is that looking at the game, it doesn't overall, I would say that ultimately it doesn't feel like Nioh 2. It feels like Nioh 2.0. And there's a pretty big difference in that, at least in my mind anyway. Because I mean, a lot of the abilities don't seem to have changed. It doesn't look like they've done really anything with them. There are a few new skills you can get for
I would assume there are more of them.
Are there new weapons?
No. No, they did change the system of how skills are gained though. They've changed the layout. It actually looks like a sphere grid now, which I'm
weird.
totally for. But now like when you get the certain
Yeah.
abilities that like go up ranks, like it's like rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, those are now just little spheres that are connected to each other in a line on this grid in some shape or form. And it's cute. I mean, I like the sphere grid idea to it, which it just looks great. I love the design now. It's far better than what they originally had. But when you actually go through, at least in the alpha anyway, what they've shown, when you go through the actual skills, it's quite literally pulled from Nioh. I think they had maybe one, if you were lucky, 2 new abilities for the weapons and stuff that they've shown. They did, however, I will say, split up some things. A lot of the stuff dealing with stances and basic abilities that are kind of across the board for all weapons are now put into what's called the samurai, and that's kind of like your center skill bonus. And the samurai is just like, here's your ability to gain more ki back. Here's your ability to gain more ki back faster when you get like a perfect flux, or when you get a perfect flux, you gain some extra ki back as well. Because those are shared between all the weapons, they've put that into what's called the samurai skill and whatnot. But the weapons themselves do retain all their original abilities. They do retain like their general extra bonuses. They did change a wording on something. Full health enemies are now just called unscathed. Just a different terminology. I mean, that's kind of really how deep it gets and like the differences on the internet. The plus side, however, is that we did get to see a couple new cool things that they are doing. Obviously, one of the biggest things in this game is, if you don't know, is that in this game they decided to take your living weapon, instead of just making like a really cool usage of the spirit, a guardian that's with you, you now turn into a yokai yourself. You devil trigger like DMC5. And it's great. I love it. Your character transforms completely. Yeah. Your character transforms completely. They get,
you also have a character creator now too.
Yes, you do have a character creator now, which I'll get into a moment here for on the yokai part, especially because this is gonna be. I thought this was really cool that you could do this. So that yokai transforms, and it does look better than living weapon. I did notice this one. First off, it does look like it just lasts longer. You can take more hits without it running out like right away, which I was very glad to see, because I really hated the fact that if I was in living weapon and I wasn't Dynasty Warriorsing up, like just spamming that attack button, and something slapped me, I lost like 3/4 of the bar, and it didn't seem to really change on whatever difficulty it was on. So I was kind of glad to see that you can take like a number of hits. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like you can stand there and take like 10 hits and nothing. But you can take like 3 or 4 hits, and that bar will still be around half of its meter left. So you're not down and out and losing your ability just because you got slapped, or a swift breeze came in and pushed you over. You also do gain super armor, and if you're not familiar with that kind of terminology, it just means that your character essentially, when they're hit, does not flinch or go into a stagger state. They just continue to go with their attack. It might slow down a little bit on the hit, but they will continue through with their motion and slap the dude. So you get that. Damage bonuses are up. You get unique combos. I don't know how varied they are. This is still the alpha, but you do get unique combos and certain mechanics that are alone tied to the yokai.
Yeah, it looks like you get yokai skills.
Yes, there are yokai skills, which I'll get into that as well. Which is the other thing that you kind of get, is when you kill yokai, whether you're in your own yokai form or not, they will actually drop what's called a yokai soul core. And you can pick it up, and they'll have randomly assigned levels. I'm guessing to a certain extent around your level, maybe. I'm not sure. It's a little bit hard to say because there's only one stage, and I've only really watched one streamer stream it. It doesn't look like there's actually tons of info on people doing like them trying to figure out everything on this little alpha. It wasn't a long-lasting alpha. But what you do is you take it over to a shrine, which still exists. It's the same shrine with the same little green dudes on top of it and whatnot. And when you get there, it'll purify the cores, which is just a way of saying you can now use it. And you can equip up to a certain value. Different souls have different values associated with them. But you can equip 2 of them, and depending on what you equip, it will summon out that yokai spirit, and they will perform a certain attack or action that is appropriate for them. Like the original Yokis, if you do that one, he'll come out and grab the opponent and just slam him down on the ground. If you put on like Skeleton Soul, it will like summon out 2 undead archers, and they will fire off at the target that you're currently locked onto with flaming arrows. That will do fire damage and piercing damage to them, and I think set them ablaze. So there is that. Their cost on them essentially defines, you've got a meter that builds up, and you gain that either by being in yokai areas or by just dealing damage over time. And as you gain energy and Amrita, you'll also level that up. And it's kind of a meter, and you spend it on these abilities. So more costly abilities will obviously be more powerful, but it also means they can't really be spammed. Where some of the other ones, you can like kind of spam them a lot and utilize them, and they're pretty potent. There, of course, are a lot of things that are just focused on yokai in this game in general, and they're really focusing on this part.
Yeah.
You get yokai weapons, which is essentially just a special weapon that has a corruption status on it, which when you hit opponents will build up a debuff on them that will eventually cause them to use up more ki when they're attacking and be more susceptible to ki damage. So you can harm yokai with yokai weapons as well, make them easier to break their essentially their super armor. It also has a meter attached to it that as you fight and you kill creatures and whatnot, that meter will slowly rise up. And from what I understand of it, when it caps out for a period of time, it's going to slowly start to drain down, but you're able to apply that status effect much more easily, and you just do more damage in general. So it's kind of like a soft limit break almost.
Oh, that's called the Yokai Force, I think.
Yes, that's
the Yokai Watch.
Yes, the Yokai Watch. So there is that. There's also a new one called Benevolent, or not Benevolent. I believe like Sacred weapons, and it's kind of the same thing, but the opposite. They're just like, instead of corruption, they're sacred. I don't fully understand them either. I'm not sure if they do the same concept or not. Again, only so much going on. I haven't had a chance to really delve into what people have found out there. And from what I can see, most people don't really know yet. But it seems to do the kind of the same thing, but opposite. I'm kind of hoping that it's not just like a flip flop. There's more to it, but who knows? They did add in a new stat as well. They added in courage, which is a little bit weird. It kind of they've kind of separated a little bit of the more skills out, and I don't remember fully what courage links itself to, but it does affect ki. I think some key focus, and it has a little bit of an effect on certain weapons. It seems to have taken away a little bit from what the skill stat did, because originally skill kind of raised up your key regeneration.
It looks like, it affects key recovery speed and lightning resistance.
There you go. Yeah, thank you.
Weird. They tied lightning resistance to it.
Yeah, the lightning resistance is really weird to it. But yeah, that's what courage does. It kind of took away from skill. So there's that. They did. I already talked over it. They did rework the skill trees. They look really cool.
Yeah,
but they are.
It seems like they don't time to weapons now.
Yeah. All the abilities in those trees, by the way, are tied to weapons. Like when you're leveling up a certain weapon, you don't just get a random skill point. You get a skill point of that specified type of weapon. It's not just to be spent on anything. So if you're wielding like, by the way, one of the new weapons is double hatchets, which is really cool. I'll get into that in a little bit. Just explain what they do. But if you're wielding like double hatchets, and you get like as you're like going along with them, you'll level up your ability with them. It's only going to give you a point for hatchets. It will not give you a point just for anything like it used to. That also means that all that delicious hair you were eating now has specific titles towards it. There's katana hair. There's hatchet hair.
Is that literally their name?
No, it's a different name, but it's like master swordsman hair of like whatever or something like that. But it is like hair of X, Y, or Z. It's no longer just master samurai's hair and stuff like that. I don't even know why they did that. It was always really weird. But yeah,
there's probably some lore attached to it that we don't know.
I'm sure they don't really go out and say it. A lot of lore, they actually, in the first game, they kind of was always upfront about everything, which was a little bit sad. A little bit. I was kind of really hoping for that Dark Souls vibe of like you really kind of have to patch things together by yourself. But it is what it is, and I liked it for what it was. There's also now purple Kodamas. You might remember the green guys. You can send them to the shrine, and they give you like passive bonuses and whatnot. But the purple dudes, they wear a skull mask, and they have a little like stick and whatnot. And they want you to give them something. And if you give them an item, what they want to do is either create multiple items of similar categories of randomized values, generally better than what you give them, sometimes, or they might just give you a flat out better version of the item that you give, or an equivalent variant that is a better version of what you gave them. But it is a bit of an RNG-ish system. It's kind of almost like a luck roll in your favor, but a luck roll all the same. And then there are some new Kodama blessings as well. It's no longer just dropping sword, armor, elixir, or I think money. I think was the last one. There are some more in there.
So many weapons and armor.
Yeah, so many weapons and armor. So there's that. There is also what's called benevolent graves, which instead of in the original game you had graves, and if you went up to them, they were always going to give you a malevolent spirit would pop out, and you gave you a chance to like fight other people who had died somewhere nearby, and they had their equipment. It would kind of take a snapshot of it, and you had a chance to fight them and even potentially get the equipment that they were utilizing with the stats on there and everything. At least until later on in patches, they changed it up a bit. But that was kind of the purpose and the point of it. But now, these benevolent graves, you can go up to them and you activate them like a malevolent grave, but now instead they come up with a spirit who's like, hey buddy, I want to help you out, and it's an AI, and he'll just run around with you and fight with you and and just cool stuff.
Yeah,
and shit.
that's cool. Like they always had those in the Soulsborne stuff.
Yeah, so it was really cool to see the benevolent graves. It's really weird. They do require resources for the benevolent graves, though. They require choco cups, at least in the alpha they did anyway, which can drop from completing missions or killing certain enemies. Or
were people able to take them into boss fights?
Yeah, so you can take them. Yeah, I mean, you can take them anywhere. You can take them to boss fights. You can take them over, I guess, wherever else that's not a boss fight. I mean, they'll go with you anywhere. They'll follow you. There's also a couple of other things, like there's a little cat that you can find now who's adorable, and if you pet him, he will follow you everywhere and roll around. He literally rolls to move around. And he raises up your yokai force meter, so he's absolutely useful for that. So it kind of lets you use that a little bit more liberally while he's with you. But he is there only for a period of time before he vanishes into the air. So speaking of yokai again, and as you pointed out, Mao, there is a created character. You are no longer playing as the Irishman William. You now play as your own character, both male and female. The alpha, unfortunately, only had presets of 4, so you just chose the sex, and then you chose whether you wanted to be this looking version or this looking version, and that was it. But you could see all the options that they have at least currently implemented and planned, and one of them is yokai. You can change how your yokai form looks, and I think that is amazing. I love the idea that not only can you change your main character, but you can change how he looks at his devil trigger. That's completely awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It looks like they've added more magic and ninja skills, which definitely were lacking.
Yes, magic and ninja skills have gotten revamped and
some barehanded stuff.
Yep, they've revamped in those areas. Those are the ones that really truly got like benefits.
Yeah.
They only gave you 4 weapons, and I'm really hoping these aren't the final trees. I can only assume so. I really think they were just trying to get an idea of people's thoughts right now.
I mean, there'll probably be at least one or two betas as well. So
yeah. So I'm really hoping they were just like really just trying to get an idea of that they've got a working package now, and they wanted to give it to us.
There could even be some graphical polishing towards the end.
Yeah, I really think there's a lot of stuff there, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because honestly, they deserve it. When Nioh first came out last time, the alpha and the beta were a huge success. They took a lot of what players said into account and took everything that was good and made it better. By the time that game had gone from its alpha release for the public to the final release, there was
definitely some changes.
Oh, there was some changes, and it was all the better. It really was. So
honestly, I don't really care if I loved playing a game. I don't need it to change a whole lot. Like, I'm fine with most everything being the same. The only thing I really want is better level design and a bit more enemy variety, which again we won't know until the full game comes out.
Yes, I will say this. That is not an unheard of complaint. I've heard a lot of people say that. Level variety was.
It's definitely a common thing I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I want it to. I want that desperately because I think I am
100% fine playing Nioh 1 with just different level, like actual level and enemy variety.
Yeah, I remember. I still think my favorite level in Nioh 1 is the first level.
It is good.
I really like that one. It just always felt the most appropriate. You start from the backwater of an island, you go up to the manor, and then you open up right into the actual village down below before going to the beach and heading on to the boat. There's a lot of variety in that level, and there's a lot of things. They've got the small shrine area that you go to.
I'm also a big fan of the frost level with the killing the butterflies because of how
Yes.
winding it is.
Yes, I really like that
Winds
too.
all around itself.
It's all over the place. There's actually a lot of paths you can end up missing or even not taking because there's multiple ways to get from the beginning to the end.
A lot of them ended up being like the similar style as the first mission, just like, destroyed buildings and whatnot in the general environment.
Yeah, which is a shame because that's unfortunately just a really dang shame because there's a lot of
also the ninja house was pretty cool.
Ninja house was fun, a lot of fun because it put in something new for you to do in the stage.
Yeah,
but there's definitely a lot, like those stages are far and few between. There's a lot of stages I remember also a lot of the side missions being incredibly boring, and I'm really hoping the side missions get a touch up as well.
They were just different sectioned off things of the main missions, which
and sometimes even just specific spots that you couldn't even go to.
Right.
I remember seeing them reused a lot.
I'd expect that to come back in a degree. Like, I doubt they'll all end up going away, but having some areas unique to side missions would be a good place to, for that, just so that they're not all that take place in places you've already been.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the side missions did have like their own locations or areas that you didn't go into in a main mission, but it wasn't enough. That's the problem. Is that there was too often times where a side mission was just somewhere you've already been, or they would reuse
or just on a bridge.
Or they would reuse a location that they had already used multiple times, like two, not like one or two, not one or even dare I say 2 times, but sometimes they use it up to 3 or 4 times. And
I believe there is always a story reason. Like,
there's always a story
reason. We need to go back here and do the things. But
there's always a story reason. But the problem was that
it wasn't like they're like, here's a new location that just happens to be the exact same map. That's what. I guess that's not what Dragon Age 2 did exactly, but.
Yeah, and then the other problem, like I said, is the variety of it. Also, generally, it was just like go here and kill these things or kill this boss that you've already faced before. There was generally nothing new about these side missions. So I'm not sure what the purpose of them really was to serve beyond running through the first time to like get some extra skill points or something. And that's very boring.
New gear and stuff. Getting gear is definitely a big part of Nioh. It seemed, or like
it is, but like the problem. But the problem with that is that they eventually made those obsolete because the final stage was generally the highest level one from certain side missions, and then only very specific side missions, generally boss rush ones, were ones that gave you really great gear.
It was just like to go through.
Yeah.
Well, and then you'd unlock gear and then also like spirits and stuff.
Yep. I mean, the most interesting thing they did was definitely when they did the patch where you could go down to the yokai realm itself, and you would go through like essentially a boss gauntlet, so to speak, and they would have different abilities or effects that would go on depending on what stages or things you shut down. So,
hopefully, like they would have just all of the benefits or everything they added to Nioh 1 could just be in the base of this game.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really hoping for as well. The things that did not change are pretty much all the items, weapon categories and moves, similar stats. There's the co-op system that really hasn't been touched up on. Apparently, there were some issues trying to run it though in the alpha. Not surprised.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that means that people didn't really get to do anything. It is on the same exact engine, which explains a lot of why the graphics are. But there's been no touch up on it whatsoever. That's been confirmed. Armor slots, talisman slots, and accessories haven't changed either. So that is all the stuff that we have seen. But that being said,
hopefully we'll see more at E3.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we do. I'm hoping that E3 will really expand on it because I think that's the perfect time to show off a lot of it. I'm looking forward to Nioh 2. Nioh 1 was great. And I
like the kind of build your own character aspect because
I do too. Yeah,
because that opens it up to the more kind of from softy, old school story.
Yeah,
telling.
I there would have to be something really wrong for me to not actually just get this game. Even if it did have like the basic level
Yeah.
design and whatnot, I'd still end up playing it.
I'd definitely still play it. I mean, it's in Nioh 2. If it's Nioh 2.0, by all means, I'm still going to play it. Nioh is a good game, and I really want to support it. I would be disappointed, though. Because I know, because I know this developer. I know the publisher they're under. I know they can do a better job. So it'd be really disappointing to know that they could have done something way better, or at least touched up on the areas that wouldn't even change gameplay.
If there's a Nioh 3, it'll probably be on the PS5. So hopefully it'll have a enhanced engine by then.
I would assume so. But I'm looking forward to it. One thing I forgot to talk about. They only had the 4 weapons on there, which was katana, odachi, dual hatchets, and what was the last one?
Spear.
Spear. Thank you. Yes. Every other weapon.
Spear bros.
Yeah, odachi, spears, katana, kind of played exactly the same they were. They had a couple new abilities. Like I said, you either got 1 or 2 if you were lucky new abilities in there.
Hopefully those aren't the only weapons in the game.
I don't think so. I don't think so. A lot of people are pondering if there wasn't like a lot done. They just really wanted to see people's first reaction to the game, and to kind of get some feedback on what they currently.
It'd be a real dick move, though.
Oh yeah, it would be a real dick move. But it seems weird because they've already brought in a lot of stuff, so it seems weird not to have like 2 katanas and the Kusarigama, and
hopefully there'll be at least 1 or maybe even 2 new weapons that we haven't seen.
I mean the double hatchets are definitely new. Which
right,
by the way,
I meant beyond that because they're like dual hatchet is similar to dual sword.
Yeah. I will say something about the dual hatchets though. Their main mechanic around them seems to be able to that you have range attacks. You can charge them up to toss them. Depending on the stance, will change how it works. And they did actually do some really good thought about this one. High stance, the throwing attack for the hatchets will actually give you a piercing hatchet. It will hit an enemy and then continue to go on through until the full end of the length of the weapon itself. So in the high stance, you're kind of getting this piercing effect that'll hit multiple foes. In middle stance, it gives a little bit more versatility. You can actually throw dual hatchets in a before you, so you can hit multiple enemies with it. Low stance is about kind of that speed and rapidness and a bit more trickiness to it. You can throw a hatchet up in the air that will just fly up and then land on top of the target after a period of time, so you can combo into it. You can also do rapid hatchet throwing, which is you just throw them really quickly one after another as well. It'll only hit one target or whoever you're generally aiming at in that direction, but you will be throwing multiple of them. So it's a pretty. I really like the thought that they put into the hatch mechanics. But they've got a lot of them in there and whatnot. Not a very countery weapon, but it does generally do a lot of attacks. So it's kind of a bit fast-paced, ranged striker. From what I recall, there is no counter or anything on it. So if you're blocking, you're just blocking. No, there is one counter. Not a fancy counter though. It's not a knockdown counter. It's just you knock the weapons away and you slam into them, but you're not in an invincible animation when you are doing this. So you can't be interrupted.
I don't know what else kind of weapon I would want added.
Tetsuo.
Yeah,
Tetsuo.
I'm just trying to think of like how to differentiate it from like the large axe or whatever.
I'm not sure because the large axe also counted like hammers
or
and whatnot.
Odachi. Yeah, I'm just curious what they could add, but that's why they're making the game.
There's so many weapons out there and whatnot. I mean,
I'm not sure what they could add that would be different enough.
That's a really hard thing to say. Don't know. Really don't know.
But anywho.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to the game. Hopefully E3 will bring more to it.
Right.
All right, well, hopefully that isn't the only answer to my question. That is my topic, which is E3's almost here, and we're getting some of the pre-trickly stuff because a lot of developers are seemingly trying to move away from the classic E3 presentation.
Oh yeah,
and because of that, we've been getting some news ahead of it. We got to see more of Kojima's new game. They teased the Baldur's Gate 3, some stuff like that. So my question is, what would you kind of like to see? Not necessarily that's going to be there, but that you would just like for it to be there. Or what are you most looking forward to also? So let's build some pre-E3 hype.
I'll let you take the floor, Mao. I was talking a lot already.
I'm not sure. I haven't really I haven't really the E3 kind of just snuck up on me this year. Honestly,
Snuck up on all of
Put
us.
a
It's
lot
here.
of thought into it.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
My default answer is always anything from FromSoft, which
We might see some
recently
stuff.
have been seeing some rumors about a possible Viking game collab with
George R. R. Martin.
George R. R. Martin. So that'll be interesting to see if that's a thing. What else? Final Fantasy stuff. It's almost certain that we'll see something Final Fantasy VII remake related.
Yeah, guaranteed. You're going to see Final Fantasy 14 stuff as well. They have already confirmed that they'll be at E3 announcing info on it. So,
it would be nuts to see something Final Fantasy 16 related.
That was mine. That's
I know
the
it
number
wanted.
one thing I would love to see.
No, it's wanted. Because what's really weird. I looked back at the date Final Fantasy 15 came out, and man, oh man, it's so long ago. I don't know
why. It was 2016.
Yes, I was sitting here like,
it's older
it's
than
been almost 3 years.
That's longer. Yeah, I was really blown away. I'm like, whoa, it really is that old.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
We know Square has their own conference, which and we know they're going to show off the Avengers game, which I have no idea of what's going on with that. So,
yep,
I can't wait.
There
for
is
when they
possibly a new Fable game, which would be like the main thing that. Well, it'd probably actually get me to upgrade my computer more than buy an Xbox, but because Microsoft's real into play it on the Xbox or computer with their games now instead of just console exclusivity.
But Mal, you got to buy the new Xbox One X S2.
Also looking forward to what the naming system will be for their new.
Yes,
is that what? I think that's what everyone's looking forward to more than the console. Is just what
probably
I
honestly
wanted to be the Xbox 2 just to watch people's brain melts.
Yeah.
Xbox 1, 2.
Switch 1, 2, 3.
God, I would love it.
Yeah, anything
Xbox 720.
More Japanese RPGs is also something I want out of every E3. Are we slated? I guess there's nothing really to see out of Persona Royal. Probably won't be there. Maybe the Switch Persona game. We'll see something.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see that in the Switch in the E3 Direct.
So apparently we might see The Witcher come to the Switch, which
that might get me to play it because it's something you can do.
Which made me think it'd be cool to see Geralt or Ciri.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
That'd be very cool.
They've already crossed over to was it Monster Hunter?
I could see them announcing because they're going to announce a new Smash Bros. Character in the Direct. We haven't heard anything about new characters since they announced the Joker was going to be in the game. So,
although I think the rumor could it come with
Edric from Dragon Hunter,
Edric or whatever,
is everyone's probably number one rumor. Monster Hunter would be cool if they bring Generation, but I think it's a PS exclusive. No, because it's on PC now. So I don't know.
Number one desire that will never happen is a Legend of Dragoon remake.
You and a lot of people would love that.
I would die.
I would also accept the Legend of Legaia remake. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, more for Dragoon for me.
I can respect that.
It's got more characters for one.
Yeah,
which I love characters in my JRPGs instead of the 3 party members.
Honestly, though, I just love the fact that both those games had a really interesting RPG combat system for their time.
I just tried to play Legend of Legaia. Again, and I just got distracted by other things, but
that's good stuff.
Yeah,
I would have to say the
ego meta
biggest thing for me. I know it's a long shot in the dark, but I'm really hoping.
Don't you say
really really hoping for that really popular game that never got the love it deserved. Einhander. I'm waiting for its remake. Oh. This is the day. I was waiting. Yeah, I know you didn't think I was going to go.
I thought you were going to say Devil May Cry 6.
You want Cloud in another fighting game.
I want air highs too. That's what we need.
Speaking of actually something that could show up is from the
God.
director
Don't
of
tell me
Devil
air
May
highs
Cry.
too.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh yeah, he says he did want to work on that.
Now that he's done with Devil May Cry, I would like to see that.
That was a good
show
game.
up. I quite enjoyed it. It's randomly like not. It doesn't seem like it's a well-known game, or sort of like I don't know how many ended up selling, or like
it has a
people played
cult following.
but it's like it had the Skyrim effect of being released on every system.
Jeez.
Like they've released it a lot, like because they re-released it as the Darkest Arisen, I think, with like it had a little bit of extra stuff in it, and they released that on like PS3, PS4, Xbox, possibly coming or to the Switch may have been announced. Just the PC, just all over the place. They keep remake or putting it out on stuff.
Yeah.
But I would like to see a sequel to that. Sorry. Anything else anything you're actually looking forward to, Meta?
Honestly, I think the only thing I'm truly looking forward to would probably be Final Fantasy VII. I mean, Nioh 2 goes without saying, but since I've already made a topic about the freaking alpha, you can tell how excited I am for that.
And we've seen more of that at least now.
Yeah,
7.
but 7, honestly, I want to see 7 because I just want to know that this game is actually getting some damn progress to it.
Mm-hmm. An actual release date would be nice.
Yeah, just
for the first chapter.
Yeah, because I mean, it's hitting, unfortunately, that terrible effect of going into quasi development hell, but then finally being finished and being something. Right. I just want to know that this game.
The trailer was like
are they gonna hold it off until PS5?
The trailer was like we swear the game's still alive.
Right.
It's getting
made, but I'm like,
thing.
Okay, fine. You definitely swear the game is still alive. That's great. But that's can all be done as a video. Like that wasn't a gameplay video. That was a video that just showed what they think gameplay should be like. That's as good as you can get. That's the reality of it all. So that could have been all just a video. I actually want to see some real stuff on this. If they bring it out at E3, and that's the other that you made mention of another fear is that, but understandable one. We're gonna wait till the PS5, and I'd be like, you son of.
Right, because they announced it 2 or 3 E3s ago.
Yes.
I think it was 2016.
2016 or I think it might have been 15. Yeah, it might have been 15 when they announced it. 'Cause I remember
it was a while ago.
It was a long while ago, and I just want to know if this thing is gonna happen. If it's not, what are they gonna do?
15.
15.
Yeah. So
yeah. Because I mean, like with PS5 now coming around the corner, the real problem is that like they've already stated it's going to be in installments, 3 installments. That's what they're aiming for.
Oh, I missed that. I missed the number of installments. I thought maybe each disc, but
yeah, I from what I remember, it's going to be 3 installments, I believe, maybe 4, but I think they said 3 was the confirmed amount. And those 3 installments, if they're all to be their own games, technically are going to require a few years in between them to do at least a year and a half. You can pull a lot of the assets from obviously the first game and use in the second one for certain things, but they are creating a lot of new stuff.
Nope, they're going to spend 2 years on the new revamped snowboard minigame.
I knew it! The true end game.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I don't know how much time they're going to spend in between, because I know that, again, they could pull like character assets and whatnot, and so on and so forth. It'll be in the same engine. They'll have time to have worked with it and know what they're doing with it, so on and so forth. Technically, the project won't end until all the games are made to tell the whole story. But the problem is that, obviously you're going to be going through this game and whatnot, and it looks like the first installment, as far as we can tell, is going to have a heavy influence of being in Midgard. And I don't mind that, but like the first disc doesn't end until spoiler alert, Eris dies. So if the full first section of the game is only going to take place in Midgard, that's a huge chunk of storyline that we have to get through for both the rest of the first disc and the second disc. And then there's stuff on the third disc. Not a lot, but there's certainly stuff on it. So I'm not sure what they're going to do, because you can't shove that all into one. Maybe you can. Maybe I'm wrong.
I bet it'll be more than 3 parts in the end.
Oh yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 5 should maybe eventually we'll actually see gameplay for that, or anything beyond just like an announcement
Teaser.
that it
Yeah.
exists.
Yeah, it exists. Don't worry about it anymore.
That was, I think, 2 E3s ago because it was like
Yeah. It
it
was,
was like around the time
Switch's
the
first
Switch was
E3.
coming out. Yeah,
It might have been the Switch reveal thing, actually,
yeah.
when they showed it. I can't remember. Yeah, my like dream thing would be FF16. I don't think they're going to show it because of 7.
Right.
I'm still of the
I mean,
opinion
I
that
think
I would
the rumor
rather
was
than be
that,
working on that.
what was it? The 14 director was going to be working on it. Is
Yes.
Like, we know he's working on something, but I think the rumor is it's going to be 16.
Something like that.
But that was only like him being put on it is pretty recent that it was revealed. So probably not anytime soon. That game's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of the few people in Square I would trust at this point to like.
I just hope it's
deliver
not
on
an
it.
MMO.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to because FF14 is just so successful.
Right.
And they're about to do a new expansion for it anyways. That's like the dream scenario. I want to see more like this is kind of to a lesser extent, but like the alternate Switch things. How much will they cost? That kind of thing. Like, will we get the Switch upgrade? Will they announce that? Because I'll probably end up buying one of those. If so,
You would.
yeah. I just want longer battery life. That's like my biggest complaint. Because I do like playing it in handheld mode. Play it probably in handheld, honestly, more than I have in docked mode. I want to see that. We're not going to get Pokemon because that's about to get its own direct. Yeah, some more crazy JRPGs. I want to see the Soulsborne, the new FromSoft game. If it even is a Soulsborne game, it could not be.
I know Tets would want more Armored Core.
Yeah, Code Vein. I want to see more of that. Hopefully, they have more to say because we literally
speaking
got nothing
of-
for a while. They said they said some stuff about it finally, and to my knowledge, they haven't said anything else. But you said
there's a network test.
Yeah, which I did sign up for. So
I
don't
did
know.
too, and I just checked my email, and I have a key.
Do you? Let me check.
So this weekend I'll be doing that.
Oh, look at that.
I don't have a key. Damn you, Mal.
Oh,
The RNG gods were not with me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. I don't know. It just is it's a magical time of year. Maybe they'll hint at the new Zelda game. We're not really going to see Sony stuff. It's always fun to see like what Microsoft is going to roll out. Some of the other companies, Bethesda's thing's always fun.
I have no idea what to expect from Bethesda.
Yeah, honestly, my one of my favorite parts of E3 is just watching with everybody and commenting and laughing at stuff, and it's always a really fun time. So, and I like doing it with you guys. So that's what I'm probably most looking forward to. That's like the meta around it. So it's always fun to hang out with your buds and like talk about and get hot for stuff and make fun for stuff that looks dumb. So
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to, and yeah, maybe we'll get some FF16 stuff, but I doubt it. Or maybe even some Kingdom Hearts 3 like DLC stuff. That'd be pretty sweet too.
Yeah, I mean, we know that there is one, so yeah, they could announce.
This would be like the time to announce
it.
It's been a while. They haven't really done anything since the game came out, so I don't know. We'll see. We got 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks, right?
June 9th, I believe.
Yeah.
June.
Aren't you excited to record the E3 episode, Meta?
Oh, I'm excited, man. You kidding me?
Those things are always some barn burners.
Dude, I'm not gonna.
3 hours.
It's really rough sometimes knowing that I have to go to work on those days just to.
It sucks, yeah.
It's because I end up spending all the evenings trying to catch up on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. But it's worth it.
Yeah, I think people are going to be on vacation that week at work, sadly. So I'm going to be stuck, like trying to catch up on stuff too, most likely.
I'm hoping a lot of they did like last year is put all the stuff in the
Oh,
evening.
sorry.
All the
June 8th,
presentations.
Saturday. We got EA and Nintendo. That's their esports tournament, which something might be there, but yeah, EA I don't care about.
It's always fun because that one guy shows up and like acts crazy.
Oh yeah. What's his name, dude?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then on Sunday we got Microsoft and
FIFA.
Bethesda.
So it's on the
Monday,
weekend now.
Well, yeah. Monday is PC Gaming Show, Limited Run Games, and Ubisoft. Kind of funny. Square Enix. Tuesday will be Nintendo's like Direct, and then yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Again, no Sony. So we shall see.
Yep, I'm excited, man. It's like Christmas in the middle of summer. And then after E3 comes Gen Con, a month after Meta.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited to go to Gen Con, man. I'm ready.
You
finally figure out what to attend.
Yeah, we finally figured out.
Lily was like, I don't know.
I haven't even signed up for anything yet.
We looked at some of the stuff and we're just like, you know what? Let's just look at something that looks interesting. We'll do that, and then if we find something better, that's fine. If not, I'm gonna end up going to. A buddy invited me to go to a comedy club with him, so I'm gonna be doing that for one of the nights.
Oh.
And yeah, it's hosted by Gen Con. It's comedians.
Cool.
Yeah, so I loved it. I forgot all about it. He was like, I got you a ticket for that. I was like, oh shit, yeah. So going to that. And then we're also going, I think, to a gaming event where we try out this new game for a company, and then you also get to have beers while doing it, and you just kind of relax and just play the game like an
That's
idiot.
cool.
So there's going to be that. A few other things, mostly just little small events and game tests and whatnot for things we like. But
Perusing the dealer hall.
Yeah, the deal hall's where it's all at. So maybe get into I think we got into mini painting thing as well, just so that I can get more practice in, because God knows I don't do enough mini painting to ever remember how to do it in the first place.
Sweet. That's what I've been doing a lot of lately. So
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here. This has been episode 83 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and talk about topic day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Check us out on Twitter at Podcast5R, Facebook P5R Podcast, Man Lily Stream, twitch.tv/PSOFlow, and Tetsuo's blog at thegeekyspirit.com. Until next time. Stay salty like a potato chip, because I know you are.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.